Alright, so today it's Foundation Friday. This is where we try out a new foundation. Every single Friday on my channel is 6 p.m. Pacific time. So we're starting it off barefaced today, switching it up. I know about half of you like it without makeup in the intro. Half of you don't care, so we're just doing it different today. But today we're going to be talking about the ILIA Super Serum Skin Tint SPF 40. So I've actually been already testing this. I've worn this about 5 or 6 times so far. And this is one of those products that I just can't quite figure out. So I'm excited to be trying it again in this video, not just doing it first impressions, because like I said, I haven't figured out the best way to apply it yet. I haven't figured out if I love it or just like it. I know I don't hate it, but I just don't have my full form thoughts on it yet. But I have normal skin for reference. I have a freaking crater under my skin right here. But the idea with this foundation is that it's basically like skincare and foundation in one. It's supposed to be a serum foundation, but I have heard and read reviews that say that people with oily skin have also found that this works really well on their skin. So it seems to be overall getting pretty good reviews. This foundation retails for $46. You get 1 fluid ounce of product, which is standard, and it comes in 18 shades. So it says it's a revolutionary clean formula that fuses makeup, skincare, and SPF 40 into one single step. It's weightless, no white cast, no zinc oxide, super active levels of hyaluronic acid, squalene, skin smoothing niacinamide, and it has a natural dewy finish. No silicones, fragrance, safe for sensitive skin. So I love that this has niacinamide, squalene, and hyaluronic acid in it. Love that. I have the shade Tulum. I will say that it does darken a bit throughout the day, and I think I could have gone a shade down knowing now that it darkens. When it first goes on, it looks like it's going to be a good shade, and then it does kind of darken. And in the description, it does say that the shades do darken a bit, so it does oxidize. Alright, so here are some swatches in natural lighting. I am filming the swatches a different day than the rest of the video, so I have a tiny bit of self-tanner left over on my skin, just a little bit, but you know, you can still see shade comparisons next to the other shades, not necessarily next to my skin. So right here's the ILIA Skin Tint in the shade Tulum, and it has sat on my skin for a couple minutes, so I'm going to show you what it looks like right when it goes on, since it does say it oxidizes. Try not to spill this everywhere. Okay, so you can see how much lighter it is when it first goes on versus after it's darkened for a few minutes. That's a huge shade difference right there. So I would say you definitely want to order at least a shade lighter than what you think you might be, just based on looking at how much it does darken. So the first two are ILIA. Next over is MAC Face and Body in N1. And for swatches for these, I tried to choose kind of comparable products. Girl On Natural Glow Foundation in 00W. And this is a different shade than the shade that I reviewed. This is actually the lighter shade. L'Oreal Age Perfect Radiant Serum Foundation in 10 Ivory. And then Haley's BB Drops in Fair Cool. And these are actually a pretty close shade match for me in like undertone and everything. They match my skin almost perfectly. Let's put this guy on again and try it out again. If you're excited for this video and you enjoy while you're watching, you can give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, I upload every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific time. Also, I painted my nails this morning, and I'm aware that it's literally all over my skin. It's just what I do. I paint it on my skin, and then it washes off in the next day or two, you know? Okay, so right now it is 9:20 in the morning when we're starting this. This is very liquidy. It's a serum foundation, so you definitely want to give this a shake before you use it. I do have an SPF on. It's the Purito one. I'll link it down below. That's all we're starting with. So far, I have ruled out that a sponge is definitely not the way to go with this one, because this is a serum foundation. It's quite liquidy. For me, a sponge just soaks up like 90% of the product. So I'm going to do half with my fingers, half with a brush instead. And they actually recommend that you apply it with your hands. And typically products like this, like MAC Face and Body, works best with your hands. So some products like this do apply best with your hands. So I'm going to use this e.l.f. brush. This is actually the powder blurring brush, but it works great for foundation. So let's start off with the hand side. All right, so where's my mirror? Just got a thumbnail and now I don't know where my mirror is. All right, I'm using this one. I'm going to take my hands, they are clean, and we're going to start to blend with my hand. So it looks light when I first put this shade on, and then as you'll see, it kind of darkens. So with the MAC Face and Body, I like to kind of like press it into my skin. This one you do have to kind of blend too and press, or else it just kind of sits there. So sometimes when I use this, I'm like really digging it and I feel like it looks really good. And then other times I'm just kind of like, I feel like I have products that are similar that look better on my skin, just the texture of it. When I'm going for something that's more sheer, I just love the way MAC Face and Body looks on my skin and just how it wears and everything. So with my fingers, definitely looks like light coverage. I'm gonna do this side with a brush and then we'll figure out what I want to do on my forehead. Using about the same amount. So this one kind of bothers me the way it blends on. I don't know if you can tell, but it almost looks like a little bit streaky, patchy when it blends out, and you just really have to work it into your skin. So it doesn't necessarily end up looking super patchy, but it just takes quite a while to actually blend it and work it into your skin. So for me, it's not one that's like super quick, you know, and when I'm using something sheer or more light coverage, I kind of want something fast because I'm usually not doing a full face of makeup. Usually I would wear this if I'm doing just like a little bit of concealer, maybe some like cream bronzer or something, but not my full face. So I kind of want it to be fast, and I do find that I have to really work this one into my skin. That's kind of a downside. So here's the brush side versus the finger side. I feel like I get a little bit more coverage with a brush, especially like in here, you can kind of tell the difference. There is more redness coming through. So I think it's still light coverage, but I did get a tiny bit more coverage with the brush. It is buildable, so once that kind of dries down a bit, I'll show you just in certain spots that we can build it to cover up a little bit more of the redness. But I think I'm going to use my fingers for my forehead. One thing that I don't like with this product on me, my kind of problem area is right here. I get a lot of texture, and I do have, this is a burn by the way from pan. I do have, you can see even right now, like I have texture on my skin right here. And so a lot of products kind of cling right here. And if I'm using a light coverage product, especially when it's more dewy, I really want it to just look like skin and not cling right there. And this one doesn't look the absolute best. I have other products that look better on me in that area. So that's another downside for me personally on my skin with this one. And you can see the difference in shade now that it's been on for a minute or two. Should clip back my hair. I'm gonna really press it in here and try and press it into the skin where it typically clings. Definitely used my fingers to kind of go over it in this area, but I don't think I've only used my fingers on my forehead. One of the things I love about the Purito BB cream is that I can just squirt a tiny bit out on my hands, put it on, and it looks perfect, and it takes about, I don't know, 15 seconds max, and I'm like good to go on a walk, ready to roll. And this, I just can't do that. You do have to really work it into your skin more and kind of dedicate more time to it. Okay, I think out of all of the ways I've applied it so far up until this point, hands on my forehead is the way to go. I do still see it cling a little bit to texture, but that could just be my skin right now. I think I just have some like extra dryness right there. I do want to see how we can build it just in certain parts because like this is just a little bit too sheer. So I'm actually going to take it on a little bit denser of a brush. This is the BH Cosmetics number 3. And I'm just going to put it directly on the brush and then go in and apply. I'm only going to use it in certain areas. I'm not doing like a full second layer, but kind of on the outside of my face where I do want more coverage. I do like how this builds. That is one thing. It's weird. Like this one does look totally different every time I apply it. So I think it really just depends on the brush you're using and how much product you use, whether you're stippling or blending. It's very just adjustable, I guess, in that way. That's looking much more like how I would want it to look. It looks much more even, and I feel like I have a good amount on right now. Still looks like skin, doesn't look like I have 2 layers on or anything. So I'm gonna do the same thing on this side. Now you can see the difference in coverage here versus here. If you want coverage with this one, I would say use more of a dense foundation brush. Don't try and go in with like a flimsy one. And I also think what I found is that between layers, kind of let this one sit for a little bit and set down, or else it'll get kind of too slippery if you go in right away. It kind of gets streaky. On areas of my face where I do have dryness, it doesn't sit the best. So I would say if you have dry patches, I don't see this one being super flattering. I do have some dryness like on my nose right now, and it's not looking like super great, even though it does have hydrating ingredients in it. It just doesn't wow me. Like every time I put this on, I try and like it and I don't hate it, but even now I'm like, it doesn't look bad. I've just found other products that are similar that I like a lot more. So for spot concealer, I'm just going to take my NARS Vanilla. This is the creamy concealer. And then I am going to use my Kosas concealer underneath my eyes. I'm not gonna do powder today. If I'm doing a look like this, light kind of coverage, I don't like to powder at all. It looks way worse. Oof, if I went in with powder with this kind of look, it would be all bad news, folks. And that's just my skin. Some people have to powder, some people it looks better if you powder. I'm gonna go in with Kosas 01. I wish they came out with more shades of this. This shade is so yellow, but I love the formula of this, especially if I'm not gonna be setting my face. I'm gonna let that sit on for a second, about 20 seconds, and then blend it out. It is like a little bit too dark and yellow, but you know what? We sacrifice it for the formula. So it just brightens up a little bit. I'm just gonna do like a very natural, soft kind of cream makeup look today. Okay, so I obviously did the rest of my makeup. It's now 9:56, but we're calling the check-in time at 9:40. That's when I wrapped up with my face. So I'll tell you everything I used in a second, but where we're at right now, just the overall look of it, I do like, besides just kind of like the textured spot right here. Would I reach for this over other products on a light coverage day? For me personally, probably not, just because of how much effort I have to put in to kind of get this look. I would definitely reach for either the Purito, and this one also is way cheaper, or the Guerlain Le Essential Natural Glow Foundation, which I have a whole review on. This one wears incredible throughout the day. It looks super pretty, plumping. This one is very expensive, so this one is not cheaper, but love this one, and you get a similar kind of effect. Like I said, for me personally, if I'm wearing this kind of product, I don't powder at all, so I want something that holds up like this throughout the day, and there are products like these that do that on my skin, so it can be done very easily on my skin. When I had oily skin, that could not be done, but on my skin now, it definitely can be done. So I have all cream products on my face right now. For bronzer, I use the Hailey's Beauty foundation stick in 4.25. I did a whole current foundation routine video recently, so I'll link that in the eye down below. For concealer, you saw that. I'm obsessed with the Cloud Paints by Glossier. This is in the shade Dusk. I just put a little bit of that on. These are super pigmented. These are so pretty. I almost feel like they add like a little bit of coverage too. I like that they don't take away the coverage underneath. I didn't add any highlight because this is very glowy. I added a tiny bit to just my nose of the Glossier Night Shine, and then I used Urban Decay Brow Blade on my brows. I love this Aqua Resist eye pencil from Makeup Forever for my waterline. It's like a pretty kind of army green color. It's called Bronze, but it's almost like a little bit of a green, so I feel like if you have greenish, bluish eyes, it kind of makes them pop. Testing this as a base for eyeshadow, so we'll see. I feel like I'm already kind of creasing, so I don't know how that's gonna go, but this is the CoverGirl Exhibitionist Lid Paint in the shade 105 Nude Awakening. Then I put on the Tarte Clay Play palette. And then for lips, I've been so into these Lorac lip glosses. This is in the shade Vibes. And then the old Lash Princess by Essence for mascara. So that's all of the makeup, and the foundation, the finish is definitely tacky, so if that bothers you, you would either have to set it or you wouldn't like this. It doesn't dry down as much on its own as like the Purito. This one isn't like a powder finish, but it does set a little bit more. And especially if you're wearing a mask, you know, that is something to consider these days. But check-in time is 9:40. Let's go see what this looks like in natural lighting, and we'll do a flash test. All right, so here we are in natural lighting, and it's definitely very glowy. I kind of like this level of glow, but if you're oily, you know, I could definitely see you wanting to powder your whole face, but I don't mind this level. It does look borderline like a little too much in here. Personal preference, but put the camera down so we can zoom in. Not bad. I'm never like fully in love and wowed when I put it on, but I'm gonna do flash test. So it doesn't seem like there's a white cast, which is nice, but it definitely looks very glowy, you know, so if you were doing flash photography, you'd probably want to powder your face with the powder that doesn't have a bounce back, but this is where we're at right now. I'm curious if you guys have tried this one, what you think of it, what's your favorite way to apply it, but I'll see you guys in a few hours. All right, so it is 12:17, so it's only been a few hours, but I wanted to show you guys what it looks like now because I'm about to have to put a mask on, so I didn't want to do it after, you know, it'll probably rub off, especially because it's very like tacky feeling, and yeah, definitely just transferred, just touching my face. So it is a very hot day today. Like, I've been doing laundry and stuff, and I'm full on sweating, so keep that in mind that I'm also just very hot right now, but it definitely looks like a little too dewy for me. This kind of coverage I don't like to powder because it just doesn't look good on my skin. It just creates more texture. So if your skin looks good with powder, then it could be a totally different story. But because I have already tested this without powder, let's try it today, because right now, I mean, It's just too oily looking. I'm not going to powder my under eyes because I'm just going to keep it like very light, and I'm not going to powder my forehead because I know powder doesn't work well there, but I am going to powder just around my nose, I think. So this powder usually looks really good around my pores. It's the CoverGirl Clean Fresh powder in the shade 120. So I'm just going to take a little bit of this and just try it right around my nose. Again, I'm not going to powder my under eyes. I just kind of want to do it in the spots that are like, whoa, really crazy. I think that definitely helped tone it down a little bit. Well, I'll see you guys at the next check-in. Okay, so what time is it? It is now 6:19, so the foundation's been on for just about 9 hours, and I am looking so greasy, so oily. I haven't seen my skin look like this in a hot minute. I don't think I've worn this one for 9 hours yet at this point. Like, I think most days when I was trying it before it was probably closer to like 5-6 hours. So this is the first time I'm like, whoa. Even where I powdered it around my nose in the last check-in, even in that area where I powdered, it looks very shiny and also just kind of cakey. You can see in that area, like I said, I'm not wearing highlighter, so it's all just the product. Even where I powdered around my nose, like, I'm shiny already, and I don't even get super oily throughout the day. I typically am just normal. I don't usually get like anywhere near this shiny at all. But if you're someone like me who likes the dewy, just fresh skin light kind of look without powder, but you want that to wear throughout the day, then I would just say, if that's you, definitely go with the Purito BB cream or the Guerlain foundation over this one in a heartbeat. On me, I don't think, in the way that I like to use it, it would be an all day wearing one. Like, maybe for a few hours it could look nice, but I just find that for how long it takes to apply, and for like the things that I had to do to get it to look the way I want it to look, I would probably just pass on it, and for the price. But that's just my experience with it. I know a lot of people love this one. I just think there are too many things that I'm like iffy on, and it doesn't look amazing on my skin in the first place. Also, when I look really up close, like, it is kind of just looking a little crusty in certain parts. And I did have a mask on a few times today. For being this like greasy looking, it actually didn't rub off as much as I thought it was gonna on the mask. There's a little spot on my nose where you can tell it rubbed off, but other than that, it actually didn't fully rub off, which is good. Let me know what your thoughts are on this product if you've tried it. I hope you guys enjoyed today's Foundation Friday. If you did, you can give this a thumbs up. I love you guys. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.